you probably don't really need a digital nomad visa.
I'm in Canada. I got to do it.
Offshoring everything in your life without you physically relocating probably isn't going to work.
So difficult to figure out what I all had to get rid of to move to the Netherlands.
Yes, you can hold residency in as many jurisdictions as you would like.
I could actually be getting catfished here.
Welcome to Where She Builds,
the podcast where two globetrotting solopreneurs share the real journey of building a life and business on the move.
I'm Shandy, an online personal trainer helping people feel strong anywhere in the world.
And I'm Anna, creator of Your Travel Friend Anna, a global community and go-to resource for those wanting to live a fulfilling and culturally curious life.
Thanks for being here.
Let's dive into this week's episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Where She Builds podcast. I am Anna, your travel friend Anna, joined by Coach Shandy, aka just Shandy. Hello, Shandy.
Hello, Miss Anna. How's it going?
And it's going very well. But good. Before we dive into this chit chat, we, myself, and the listeners have something to say to you. A happy belated birthday from yesterday at this time of recording.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So sweet.
Did you have a good day?
I had a great day. Yeah, it was so nice. Spent it with my family. My sister was down with her two boys, and my aunt and uncle were there. We went mini golfing in Drumheller, and it was so nice. Such a nice time. And we had the best Indian food.
Whoa.
Amazing.
Okay, wait. There's like so much going on in that sentence. Mini golf.
Yeah.
Drumheller, which is a place in southern Alberta that has these very interesting hills.
Yeah.
The hoodoos.
The Badlands. Yeah, the hoodoos in the Badlands.
Yeah. Mini golf, which is also known as putt-putt. I feel like that's not a thing in Europe, though. Is it?
In the Netherlands, it is, and they call it midget golf. And I said, you can't say that, but that's what they call it there.
Okay, so anyway.
No, but that's what they call
Indian
it there.
Food. That's crazy.
Yes.
No. I didn't call it mini golf. And then you had delicious Indian food. So very interesting day.
It was a great day. Yeah, I loved it. I'm a big fan of Indian food. Love it very much. And I think it was a couple years ago, we were driving through Drumheller and we were going to stop at a restaurant, but it was full. So then they sent us there and it was a really good place. And we're like, oh, we'll just keep coming back every year. We keep going for this Indian food. So I love it.
That's funny. That's funny. I like Indian food, but I just can't do a lot of spice. So
really?
It's pretty simple usually.
Okay. Well, you can get it mild though. So it's just like a little tingly, little nice.
I love, and as I've shared before, I'm vegetarian, so I love all the paneer dishes and like some of the chickpea curries and stuff. But palak paneer is my favorite, and I've attempted to make it myself before, which it was okay. Flavors weren't off, but maybe things just need to be like creamier and richer. Mm-hmm. But I have tried it before. And our last episode, we had a chitty chat that you and Pat were going to be going to the Calgary Stampede. And I was actually listening to our own episode in the car. And I was like, gosh, I really wonder how that went. So I'm here to ask it now.
It was great. It was a good time. We were actually, so my nephews, they're 4 and 2. And they outlasted Pat and I because we were done by the end of the day. But we got there around 1:00 and then we did some kids rides walking around. Like we didn't go to see any of the actual things at the Stampede. So we didn't see any of the chuck wagons.
The grandstand show. Did you see the dog show?
We did. We did see the dog show.
So good.
They were so cute. My nephews were like cheering the whole time. Just a great time, good family atmosphere. And then we did a lot of rides for the kids. A lot of them. Some of the kids' rides, I almost puked on one of them because they were so spinny. And I got off and I was like, "Is this for children? This is not okay."
When the kids are old enough, I hope they listen back and hear how Auntie maybe didn't make it.
Well, the one sitting beside me, he was like looking at, he had to hold my hand. He like looked up. He's like, "Abby, he calls me Abby because he can't say Auntie. So he's like, "Abby, do you need to hold my hand?" I was like, "Yeah, I do. Thanks." Like, I'm not okay.
It's bad when the 4-year-old's emotional stability is strong enough to know to hold your hand.
Like, we're in this together, buddy.
Yeah, because there's, I guess, a big part of the Stampede, as we call it, going to the grounds. So it's just this big open festival and fair where there's tons of rides. There is like some small roller coasters. It's not so grand because it's a pop-up thing. Like it only happens once a year. But I can imagine there's some good like the Scrambler, like ones like that.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Whoa. And they have a ton of different, like, very interesting food choices that you can give, or like, the poutine. So
what did you get?
Of course, got a pulled pork poutine, because I was like, I'm in Canada, I got to do it. So delicious as always. And then, we were just going around trying different things, bought some mini donuts, getting some drinks here and there. So it was fun. It was a good time. Yeah.
I've been seeing on a lot of Instagram stories from all my Calgary friends from my childhood that they got a lot of dill pickle pizza. Did you get that?
I did not. No, not a big fan of pickles. I'm on like
a dill pickle. Really?
Yeah. I like dill pickle dip, like free
the hummus
chips and stuff. I haven't tried the hummus.
Okay, there's a dill pickle hummus and also the dill pickle salad. Both. Well, one I know you can get at Costco. The dill pickle salad from Costco is fire.
You made that for me when I was at your place.
I did. That one wasn't a good one though, because that one was just from like, it's called, I think that brand is Taylor Farms, which is at most grocery stores. But the Costco one doesn't have the radishes in it and has feta in it. And it's just, I crave it when I don't have it for like a week. So I think I would like dill pickle pizza.
I would say you're going to miss it when you go away, when you start traveling again. You're like, how do I make this?
I think I'll just have to go to Poland again or something, get some gherkins, some good Polish pickles or I don't know. And also, there's a kettle chips, which is a brand of chips in, I'm sure North America, but they're delicious. And they have a spicy dill pickle flavor, which, they got some kick. But I like them because they're spicy, so you can't eat the whole bag in one sitting because your mouth is on fire. Whereas their honey Dijon flavor, take it away. I'm going to eat the whole thing.
The Miss Vicky's honey, what is it? Honey mustard chips.
Oh, okay.
So good. So
similar.
Good.
Honey Dijon. Yeah, same thing. Oh,
yeah.
It's so good. It's like salty and sweet all in one
Chef's
bag.
kiss.
Now I'm getting hungry.
Should we pause this? Go get some chips, come back?
I've had some like every day. It's definitely a summer, like num all the time.
Delicious.
Oh, gosh.
Delicious.
Yeah, I'm glad that you're enjoying yourself. And I do have to ask, did Pat wear a cowboy hat? And then
no, negative.
Okay.
No, he did not. No, he wore his typical European outfit. Just like the short, just his little shorts, nice shirt. It was fine.
Nice collared shirt, clean, pristine. No jeans on either top or bottom.
No, he didn't wear jeans. It was hot.
Did he get
though.
looks? Okay, fair. Did he get looks?
No, because I think other people were dressed. I mean, there was a lot of people wearing plaid, of course. A lot of people wearing your cowboy hats. But it was good. It was very fun to be there. And we're already like, it'd be fun to go back again just because it's such a fun atmosphere. It's just this big fair and people are in good moods and you're walking around with family, getting nice drinks, getting nice food.
Yeah.
Can't have a better day.
There's like some nostalgia that I wish I went this year, but just for like one day. And I'm sure I think you had a nice combo with the kids, which is kind of crazy, I'm sure. But the kids have so much excitement about everything. And then you bring an international person too. So it's like, come experience a piece of my culture that happens once a year.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of that would be very exciting and just add some dimension to the visit. Otherwise, if you just went with you and your sister, it's like, meh, same thing.
Yeah, that's true. I always think it's funny to try to look from Pat's perspective with these things because in my mind, I'm like, this is so, I think I said this in the last episode too. I was like, it's just normal for us. But then for Pat, he's like, people actually wear cowboy hats. People actually wear boots walking around. People are wearing plaid. And like, then it's just so funny to watch the Canadian culture, like, people are with the accents, they're coming out. They're just doing their thing. I think it's so fun.
Yeah. We were going to do some Canadian slang words, but I didn't prep any. But I was thinking there's been some Canadian-like things that I've noticed recently that I think we should point out and I wonder your thoughts about them. So the first is I saw an Instagram reel of a South African guy trying to open up a garbage can. Can you guess why he couldn't get the garbage can open? And outdoor in the park.
Is it to slip your hand in and then lift it up? I have such a funny story about that.
Do tell.
Okay, we went hiking.
I can see Pat struggling with this.
It was so funny. I'm sorry.
I'm just going to cry for a second. I'll explain it. Just so everyone knows, there is a lot of bears or deer like in like city parks too. So you lift under the handle. There's just something you press with like the top of your fingers so that the latch releases and you lift up the garbage can, which is always kind of but anyway.
Yeah.
So the first time you go on a walk with Pat, he's trying to throw something out.
Well, so we went for a hike and we go to the entrance thing and it was a colder day. So I think we were wearing like winter jackets. It was a little bit chilly. And he walked up to it and he thought they were hand warmers. So he put his hands in. He's like, oh, it's not getting warm. And I was like, well, that's a garbage can. So that's probably fine.
It's a big bin too, with a tiny little handle. Usually there's like two, or one's recycling, one's garbage. And he's, I mean, they kind of could like block the wind.
Both hands. Both hands went in.
I did not see that coming.
No.
Wow,
we still laugh about it to this day. We just drive past. I'm like, hey, look, there's hand warmers. He's like,
I can't wait for the day when you guys come back to Canada. I'm in Canada and I get to see Pat again, and I am going to definitely bring it up.
He's probably going to listen to this podcast and be like, why did you bring this up?
We love you, Pat.
We love you.
It's good. Okay, I'll give another one. So last Chitty Chat, we didn't get to touch on this, but so cool. I have a gentleman who helps me edit my YouTube videos sometimes, who like cold emailed me years ago. It's been like a year and a half, 2 years already. And I decided to say yes to him. So he's been helping me, and he's from Brazil. And he was in Vancouver for a semester abroad, and I got to meet him, which was so fun. He said he felt like he was living a real life vlog because he knows so much about me and watches my videos, but like I don't know who's behind the camera, or the computer. But anyway, he texted me, said, if you need anything, let me know, like just any simple things. And he really wanted to find one of those plastic coffee like holders. I'm holding my hands up. You know, the ones you just put over a cup and you put a cone in. It's like a cone. Filter coffee. Drip coffee. But a really simple one. He's like, oh, I just like, do you guys not use this? And I said, yeah, you know, some people do. I said, go to the London Drugs. It's really close to where you are. And he's like, oh, I found it. Sends me a picture. And he's like, I thought it was just for drugs in there. I like, as in a pharmacy. And I was like, fair enough. Like London Drug, Shoppers Drug Mart. I can't think of any, like Rexall Drugstore. Yes, they all contain a pharmacy, but now they're like basically our convenience store. They have everything except produce. Like you can get so much food in there now too. So he was like, oh, wouldn't have thought about that, eh? Yeah.
No, eh?
And he was so impressed, and I love it too. It's one thing I definitely miss when I'm taking public transportation elsewhere, and I hesitate every time, is in Vancouver, before you get off the bus, you say thank you to the driver. Even if you're at the far back door, you just yell thank you. So every time I'm in a new place, I always want to be like, Danka, Havala, like, Chinkuya. But I'm like, oh, don't. You're going to, one, embarrass the pronunciation, and two, they're going to look at you like a foreigner.
Yeah. Or you just walk up to the front, give a little wave, and then get out.
But he was like, wow, that's so nice. And I was like,
that's so sweet.
What can I say? We're nice.
So how was the meeting? Was it fun? Was it awkward? Was it, because I mean, meeting somebody that you have talked through a lot on the computer before, or through text or whatever, but actually meeting him in person, how was it?
So the first thing is, like, I had only ever texted him. So I was like, I could actually be getting catfished here. And I think it's this, like, I have a picture of what I think of who you are, but I was like, you could have made a fake profile, and whatever, he's editing, it's going well. Like, I kind of didn't care.
I don't care what you look like.
Yeah, it was really great. He speaks English. If you're listening, I know he will. Your English is very good. Your vocabulary is extremely impressive. And no wonder you can edit my videos, because you understand everything. And yeah, it was just fun. Like, just this interesting thing where he felt he knew me, but I was like, had so much to learn about him. So it just reminds me, like, what I'm putting out on the internet. And as we always talk in our chit chats, it's something I think about as well, of like what pieces of our life we want to share and what we don't. So just know it's like there's sections that we keep private because we should. And you can do that. So yeah, it was really fun. So
I love that.
I definitely need to get him a new video out for YouTube.
Sending it out there. Do it.
I know. I have material. I just need to organize it. And that's what I say all the time.
Just busy. You're just busy. But how is it in BC still? How is the trip going?
It's good. It's hot. Like,
really?
I'm fully going to Google what the temperature is right now here.
Yeah.
Weather. Here we go. Actually, today is cool. It's only 23. Oh, yesterday it was 32.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Today was actually pretty chill. I could probably even like turn the air conditioning off.
Wow.
Actually, yeah, we're kind of going into a little cold dip, which is good. It smelled a bit smoky yesterday, so I do wonder if, unfortunately, forest fires are happening. It's quite dry. It's dry on the ground, but humid in the air. It's very weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it's
We've
hot and sunny, and it's good. So I'm enjoying it.
That's awesome. We've been getting a lot of smoke around here as well, actually. So such
Yeah.
a funny, not funny. It's such a strange thing to be in Canada during the summer, because then you're like, everything's so hot, and then everything's burning, and then there's smoke, and then there's winter. And
Yeah.
that's about it.
Yeah, knock on wood.
Yeah.
We've had a very good season so far. I think it's been lower. Feels like it's not as aggressive, and we're already mid-July, like recording this. So usually they happen in like June. I remember the first time it happened, I was in Vancouver, and I came out and the sky was orange. I felt like I was like in an apocalypse. Like I was like, what is going on? It's visually really cool when the sun can't peek through, but obviously it's for like the shittiest reason. So yeah. But anyway, how is life in Alberta? You are coming to the end, and in a future episode, we're going to cover the end of like both of our road trips and this big chunk of travel. But what's going on? How are you feeling managing, as you said, your nieces, nephews, birthdays, clients, things going? You've got that new client coming in too. Shani's like, yeah, thank you. Oh, okay, too. Yeah. Let's go. Shani's like, thank you for reminding me of my list, Hannah.
Yeah, I know. I know. It's always, I love coming home. Like that's something that I always look forward to when I'm living in the Netherlands. I'm always like, oh, when's the next time I can come home? Because I'm such a big family person. And I've said this many times before, but then with visiting family also comes I'm going to say this in the episode that we talk about it as well, but there's people that come up and say, oh, how are you enjoying your vacation? And I'm like, well, it's not a vacation. And this is actually, I tend to be more stressed out here in a good way. Like, not that I'm not functioning, but to the point where I'm like, okay, well, I have a lot of stuff I have to do. Of course, I have a lot of clients that want to meet in person because I'm back in town. So you have a lot of that, like a lot of time one-on-one that way. And then you want to meet up for coffee with friends, and you want to meet up with your family, and you have a lot of driving to do because you're in Canada. So you have to drive 3 hours to visit people, and then 3 hours back, and day trips, 6 hours driving, like just a lot of stuff. So
we need trains. That's what we need.
I know. So it's just trying to find the time. So like this morning, for example, I had, or last night, so yesterday it was my birthday, so we stayed up late playing cards, and then I had a client meeting at 6:30 in the morning, so I got 5 hours of sleep, and now I'm living off of coffee, and then I have other things to do, and not that I'm complaining, like I'm very, very fortunate to be able to have all of this time and to be able to plan my own times around things. I was able to go to my nephew's swimming lessons today, and it's just finding the time. So that's something that when I'm back in the Netherlands, I have a little bit of my own time for myself that I can, take a breather and do stuff at my own time, my own pace.
You have a bit more control over your schedule.
Yeah. And here it's just go, 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 go. People have different agendas. Like my sister's taken off the week of work for herself, so she's not working. And then Pat and I are working in the house when my parents aren't working. And it's just a lot, but it's a lot in a good way, in the best way possible. But yeah. It's
so beautiful. Like we were supposed to have a call, and it got canceled yesterday, and you're like, well, I'm at my nephew's swimming lesson, and I was like, go enjoy it. We'll do it another day. Like, I love that there's flexibility. I know you work so hard in other weeks, and you definitely like can compact work in a week, and then I want you to enjoy the time that you're there. So it was so cute. I wasn't expecting you to text me that, actually.
Well, I appreciate you also being very lenient about that too, and being like, oh, just go for it, because it's really nice. Appreciate it a lot. You're the best co-host.
Oh, you're the best co-host. That's so cheesy. I couldn't do it. Oh, okay. We're gonna get into today's episode, which is a little bit different than we've ever done before. We're featuring one of our next guest episodes, and it's talking a little bit about money and where your money is going in the world and how you're managing it based on your travel and where you want to be. So enjoy this episode with Nicole.
Nicole is the founder and global citizen strategist at Worldwise Capital, a company that guides individuals towards borderless freedom while helping them navigate the complexities of international living. Nicole has spent years building her own borderless life, living in North America, Asia, and South America, and now helps others do the same. Nicole, welcome to the Where She Builds podcast. It's so nice to have you here.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. You and I, Shandy, have connected on social for quite a few years now. So it's nice to be here. You've been on my show. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're so happy to have you here. And where are you coming from today?
I'm back in Canada for a month or so. So I think all three of us are in Canada right now.
Yeah, we're repping. We're west to east almost too. We got 3 provinces covered.
Yeah, which is pretty rare for Canada. I feel like it's usually Ontario or BC.
Yeah. And to have like 3 nomadic travelers, like this is special. Just for all our listeners, this is rare to meet other travelers from Canada that aren't Quebecois who are females, and this is like, I feel like we're like Tres Amigos novelty right now.
Yeah.
Tres Amigas. I'm not the Spanish speaker here.
Nicole, you have to help us out on this.
Yeah. She's like, oh gosh.
Yeah. Might need a few more hours of a podcast if you're going to help us out with it.
For sure. Okay, we're going to get into it. We want to hear a little bit about your backstory, Nicole. We know you're originally from Canada, as we've just shared, and obviously you're at home, one of your homes, it sounds like. But you moved away from this base quite a few years ago, and one of your first moves was China. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was. So I'll go into a little bit of my background and that decision and what life has looked like since then. So to very quickly sum things up, I kind of went the traditional path that I think a lot of people, especially before 2020-ish era, really went down that trajectory, being you get a higher education, you get a decent job, you eventually get a mortgage and get married and the 2.5 kids. And so like I was on that route, finished university, had the corporate job, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm 21. I think I was 21, 22, something like that. And this is pretty much what the rest of my life looks like. You guys are nodding your heads because it's like we all live a very similar lifestyle.
It's the 2.5 kids that made me giggle there. I wasn't laughing at your story. 2.5.
The statistics, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Some people are like, how can you have 2.5 kids? And I'm like, well, it's statistics. It's not like an actual child.
Round it up, or it's 2.4444.
Yeah, exactly.
So I kind of started to look more critically at my life and what it was that I wanted instead of just doing what we are supposedly told that we're supposed to do. So I ended up still working for the company that I was working with in Canada, but then I also got a job in China. So I was kind of working 2 different jobs, one online. This was 2017 by the time I actually made the move. I ended up loving China. Didn't really love the job I was doing, but I just loved the lifestyle and the community, and went there speaking no Mandarin, but it was just so much fun. And I ended up staying there for 4 years. During that time, I left in November of 2021. So kind of during the period I was there, COVID happened. It was Chinese New Year. I was traveling, got locked out of the country, like long story. Eventually spent 10 months in Canada and then got back into China. But this time going to China, knowing that it wasn't what I wanted for the long term, because prior to that, I was really enjoying the lifestyle there. So I was wanting to stay longer term, work my way up the corporate ladder. And then COVID happened and I discovered, I have other passions that can also be monetized. And so I kind of started that on the side during all this free time that we had during COVID, went back to China because I did still have a life there. I had a cat there as well, but I went back knowing that I was going to be leaving at some point. So it took about a year. China, with their visa process, was kicked out a lot of the foreigners. So I was one of those, but I was totally okay with it because I was wanting to leave at that point. I had been there for such a long time, and China's a whole other world. And so then I moved to Turkey. Love Turkey. Absolutely love that country. The people, the food, everything. Incredible. but went there not really knowing anything about it and definitely not knowing about the economic crisis that they were in. And this was in 2021. Um, Lived there for about a year, had a few different businesses online, not what we do today, kind of dabbled in the online business space, and then traveled a little bit of the Balkans, of Europe, moved over to Mexico for a little bit, and then started traveling to a good handful of countries in Latin America. And that was kind of when I started looking at, since I was no longer in the Canadian tax system, I was in the Chinese tax system, but then I'm not in China. So I was
Oh.
like, okay, where am I paying taxes? Like, what does this look like? Banking, residency, like all of these things that go into it from a, I guess, more nomadic perspective. When you're traveling, most people usually just stay tied to their home country because it's easier. But I
Mhm.
knew that, you know, inshallah, that I would never be going back to Canada. And so I was like, it doesn't make sense for me to continue to be in this system here. And what are my other options? So we do quite a bit of work in Latin America with clients. And so it was really nice to build up teams on the ground, travel and have feet on the ground and just see with my own eyes what a lot of these jurisdictions offer. And that was a few years ago. The business Worldwise Capital was born. Traveled to a lot of Latin America, as I said, experienced the culture, people, love it, all of that. And then Europe is going to be next.
Wow.
Ooh, that's news for us here. That's
Yeah, that's so
exciting. That's exciting.
exciting.
Wait, I got to bet there was like so much. You really synopsised your life real
Yeah.
tight. I could take a page out of your book to keep a story short. But where in Turkey were you? Because I think a lot of our followers have dipped their toe in Turkey. So I'm curious.
I love that. So I had a lease in Istanbul. I have a thing with leases. I don't think I've like kept one since China. I just keep breaking them.
Yeah, yeah.
But I was in Istanbul for probably about 6 months and then traveled for a couple months. There's so much to see in Turkey, so
Mhm.
traveled to a lot of the different places, was in Antalya for a little bit,
Nice.
in Uzungal, Trabzon, and then a few other places from there, and then, of course, the Balkan region, which is very close by.
Where
Yeah.
Shandy and I met. This is our love
Yeah.
story of the podcast. We
Oh,
met in
I didn't know that.
Montenegro. Yeah. We
Yeah.
love the Balkans.
Oh, that's so fun. I didn't know that. I love
Yeah.
Montenegro.
It's so
Yeah.
beautiful, hey? Yeah. But so I'm curious with Nicole, when you moved, of course, you were in China for quite a few years. So you, of course, like had a lease there, everything. What made you decide to get a lease in Turkey instead of being more of a quote unquote nomad bouncing between places every couple weeks or something like that? Like what made you choose that long term travel?
Yeah, that's a good question. My plan when leaving China was actually to do exactly that. I was going to do
Okay.
it solo. I was going to kind of just like live that. I think we maybe were hearing more about that on social during COVID. I don't know, but I was like, I'm just going to do this. But then I met my partner in China and he had some restaurants. And so he wanted to start them in Turkey. Again, we didn't really know much about the economic situation there, but we moved to Turkey for that reason. But then, I mean, just fell in love with the country and ended up staying there a little bit longer.
Love it. Love it. The food is so good there. And I'm a vegetarian, and Turkey was really awesome as a vegetarian. There was always a delicious bean dish, and I always felt so full. So much food
Or
all the
like the
time.
menema for breakfast, because I was also a vegetarian when I lived there. I am not
Mm.
now, but so I'm like ready to go back and be like, okay, let me try some of this meat
Try
now.
all the meats. Yeah.
They
Exactly.
looked all delicious. It's not my cup of tea, but also, but if you are a strict vegetarian, the spoon is definitely scooping the meat and the beans at the same time. So
Oh,
just, that doesn't bother me at all, but for some folks it might. So
you have
just
to
a
be more of a
little,
flexitarian.
yeah, like
Yeah.
things touch there,
I
you
feel like a
know?
lot of
So
travelers are pretty used to like having to be
Yeah.
pretty flexible with that.
yeah, we
Absolutely.
hope so. And if you're not prepared for that, then yeah, just get ready.
It's just part of the whole travel experience. You have to kind of get used to some things that you're uncomfortable with
Yeah.
and figure it out. It's fine. Yeah.
Did you go back to Canada between any of these trips at all? Are you like, I mean, I'm someone who comes back to Canada for periods of time. Shandy definitely is too. Were you missing home? The Canadian side of, again, we're establishing that you had homes and like definitely bases as you traveled, but were you missing friends, family, or this really felt like you were in this new chapter of life?
Yeah, I think more so in a new chapter. I was obviously home for a good chunk of time in majority of the months in 2020. Um, but then probably went maybe like 2 years without coming back. And now usually every like 1 or 2 years I'll stop in for a couple months and or like a month or two. And like I always say, it's really interesting for me living this lifestyle because I find, like, you have so much freedom, so I find you can actually spend more time with family and friends than if you are, living 45 minutes in a different town, and
Interesting.
because of that
Yes.
proximity, you think like, "Oh, I can see them at any point," and sometimes you just don't, but it's like, I can spend 1 month or 2 months, and that's probably, like that, like, almost straight amount of time is a lot more than most people would see their family in 1 year.
100%. And we were actually just talking about this in our previous podcast that when you live close to the mountains, say for example, that then you don't go towards the mountains because you're so close. And it's the same with family. Like what you just said is that you do, and I also have that feeling here is that now that I'm here, I spend so much more quality time with my family than I did when I was going to university 3 hours away. I was so close, so I thought, "Oh, I can always go and see them." And now you're really like focused on that quality time, and it's actually really great. It's such a great, let's say, benefit of the lifestyle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm visiting my sister. I'm a fur auntie again. So I am like, you got that room open? I'm coming not for 2 days. It's always like minimum 2 weeks because again, why not? Like you have this flexibility to work. And
Yeah.
I think a beautiful thing is we don't need to be hosted as well. I'm trying to find the right vocabulary around this where you may know, if you're staying with a friend in the city of Toronto, you're like, I want to see you, I want to hang out with you, but like I am looking to just like live with you as a roommate for a short period of time. So this kind of in between of being hosted, we want to spend time with you, we want to have those quality times, but like also we can kind of just live our lives. You don't have to cater to me as a tourist. So I think it's
Yeah.
this kind of like I call it a half roomie, like you don't have to take care of me, but like let's make sure we have dinner on the schedule of quality dinner. But we'll probably end up watching Love Island anyway at night together. So that's
It's
been
like a
happening
low
for me.
maintenance friendship. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that's
good.
a good way to describe a low maintenance friendship.
Yeah.
So you're in Canada now, and am I right? You're in Ontario, in the province or in the Toronto area.
Ish, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. There's always, for those who don't know, it's Toronto. For those who know, it's something else.
Yeah.
And how long is this visit for? There's no end date.
Probably for the summer. And I
Nice.
mean, I'm sure you guys have probably addressed this in other episodes as well. It's nice, like as family gets older and different things happen, to be able to spend time with them. And I haven't been here in quite some time. So it's nice to just spend a couple months. I mean, obviously, and I'm very conscious of with my residency and non-resident status, like there's only a certain amount of time I can stay. I don't have healthcare. So like there are certain restrictions around that as well. But I call it more of a global citizen life personally, because for me, that is more encompassing of the lifestyle on the long term versus maybe just like, I think everyone has a different connotation of what a digital nomad is, but that could be more short term, where it's like, this is, yes, a place where I know, but not a place that is one of my homes or somewhere that I want to be for long term. So it's nice to come back, nice to visit, but I know like I don't necessarily have all the perks of being a resident here. And that's not the lifestyle I'm looking for either.
Very interesting. I would love, you just touched on it, this global citizen. So I'd love to touch base maybe on the Canadian side of things because my interest is piqued about, you just said that, you're not a resident there, but you've got this Canadian culture side to you, but it's not the lifestyle you want. Gosh, there's so much to dive into here. So how did you identify yourself as a global citizen and then deeper into the business kind of side of things of as a strategist, what does that mean helping others? So for example, any Canadians who want to explore the world more full time, what are their options, and give us a little insight.
Yeah, definitely. So we work, I mean, with individuals from every jurisdiction, not every, a majority of jurisdictions, but usually Western countries. And so that's usually Canada, US, Australia, New Zealand, and then some countries in Europe as well. So if you're Canadian, I mean, I'll kind of give like a broad overview because everything is very specific to the
Mhm.
individual, their circumstances, their business, what their needs are. But thankfully in Canada, we don't have the same taxation system as the US. So we do have the option to leave, but then you do have to cut a certain set of ties in order to be deemed as a non-resident typically by the CRA. And that process can look a little bit different for everybody, just depending on the ties that you do have. It can be pretty easy for some and a lot more difficult for others. I mean, that's really only one piece of the puzzle. The other pieces are, I mean, after that, figuring out where you're going to be both a resident, tax resident, where your banking's going to be, where your investments are going to be. If you have crypto, you're looking to pay capital gains. So there's a lot of just depending on what you hold, your investments and your lifestyle, there's a lot of kind of pieces that go around that. But the first part is typically what system are you currently a resident and a tax resident in? But then where maybe do you wanna spend some time? Or is tax optimization really the priority and the jurisdiction is less important, right? So there's a lot of kind of pieces to that puzzle. Um, I hope that answered your question a little bit.
It did answer my question because I think there's so many, there's like a personal component to it, there's a financial component to it, income levels to it, there's kind of what kind of, again, this like lifestyle. So is it short term, long term? As you said, you had a job, you were away for 4 years, so clearly there was a definition of a breakaway. So also figuring out like maybe you go to Turkey for 6 months, you love it, but you're like, this isn't where I actually want to like then move, or is it the best place for me for taxes and stuff? We can get all into that, but yeah, it's very interesting. And also you losing, yeah, when you lose a residency card, what are you losing for other perks? And CRA, for those who don't know, Canada Revenue Agency, everyone's frenemy. What is it in the US? Is it
Enemy.
I it's like
IRS, is it?
IRS?
Yeah,
Is that the
that would be the
equivalent? We're
equivalent in
looking
the
at you,
US.
Nicole.
Yeah, you know, we do not.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, to your question, there are a few different ways to become a non-resident. It's more of a status than it is like a card that you get or something like that. Typically in Canada, it would look like primarily not spending 6 months plus, or even we usually say getting close to that 6 month plus mark. And then it's very beneficial if you don't own a property. There are certain ways to get around that. But ideally, it's going to be a lot easier to cut ties if you don't have a property and if you don't have immediate family in the country. And then there's a bunch of secondary ties. Basically, just think of the secondary ties as like every single thing in your life. So, including like if you have storage, if you're part of a religious community, if you have a newspaper subscription, if you have a license, healthcare, right? So it's like every very all encompassing every aspect of your life. Obviously, governments really wants to tie you to these systems if at all possible, but it's also important to note in it's different with the US, we won't get into that, but in most countries, they want to see that you have not only residency, but tax residency in another jurisdiction before being released from your current residency. Because usually, if you are not a resident of another country, then you're still tied back to that system. So, going back to what you said, Anna, I think it is really important to not just like to jump into this lifestyle for sure, but not jump into the optimization side of things until you really know what it is that you're looking for in that more defined medium to long term. For myself, I was in China for 4 years. I knew that Canada and the life that I would have there was not something that I very intentionally didn't want for myself. So that was not a problem for me to give up quite a few things to leave the system. But for somebody who is maybe on the fence or you haven't traveled a lot or you have traveled a lot, but it's been short term and you don't really know what your base could be and what your life would look like there. And do you speak the language and do you have a community there? And like, do you even like that country, like the people and enjoy spending time there? It's best to just like stay in a system. Maybe you're paying higher taxes, but I mean, there's always a trade-off, right? So it's like for some people, higher taxes actually and like, yes, we do say this, like higher taxes can actually make sense for some people if you really enjoy that lifestyle or if, there's various reasons why you may want to be in a jurisdiction, but it's more so if you identify with that global citizen lifestyle and you're very intentional with that being what you want to build out, then this could be an option for you.
Yeah. And maybe the digital nomad, this like short-term pieces is better in the meantime to I'm definitely in that. I'm playing the field, you know? I'm saying like this whole concept of like date before you marriage, it applies into the freelance world, date your client before you lock them in, and same like play around with countries, see what hits and what really calls you for whichever reason or whichever bucket it is.
Yeah. I'm just trying to process everything that you said because it's it's really like I mean, coming from a nomad perspective, and then let's say from my perspective, I went from Canada straight to the Netherlands. So it's really an interesting, and that was also something that I found so difficult, was to try to figure out what I all had to get rid of here to move to the Netherlands. Because for me, I couldn't find like a checklist or something. It was just, oh, okay, I did a quick Google search if I had to let my bank know and I had to do these kind of things. But then, I mean, from a small town, my bank didn't even know what to do when I let them know that I was leaving. They were like, "Oh, okay. Do we make a note of this, or what do we do?" I'm like, "I don't know. I just was told that I have to let you know." So it's so nice that there's somebody like you, Nicole, that can actually help people figure out what to do to move to different places, and maybe not even just for the tax benefit, but if you don't resonate with the Canadian lifestyle, for example, then we have people like you that can help us figure out where we can go and what the options are, because lots of people don't even know that there are options apart from being a citizen slash resident of a country that you were born in and raised in.
Yeah, totally. I completely agree. And I think within that, I mean, there's a lot of reasons why people want other options, but we also work with a lot of clients who want to stay in the jurisdiction that they're born or they currently live in, but they want other options because, I mean, we all see what's happening in the world and we can't just isolate it to one country. It's really everywhere, every region. So they want diversification options outside of where they're born or where they already have investments. And so you don't necessarily always have to live somewhere long term or even short term, or maybe you're just going there one day a year to keep something active, or no days a year, but you can still hold residency and you just kind of keep that in the back pocket.
Yeah. And I think too, especially if you own your own business, there's like the personal income and then you have this other aspect of your business and where you can benefit for that versus where you as the human are receiving the money. So it's very complex.
Very, yeah. Very interesting. Yeah. So, Nicole, let's say, for example, why should somebody go to a strategist like yourself versus a financial advisor or somebody from their home country? Like, what would you offer that they wouldn't?
So, a typical financial advisor, I mean, they're usually licensed in one jurisdiction. So, they are able to give advice for investments or finances, whatever it may be in that one jurisdiction to help you grow and build wealth. We really help to diversify that wealth. Typically, clients come to us when, not always, but usually they'll already have a business or some sort of solid employment that's paying them into their business. And so, they're looking to either offshore that and potentially themselves usually go somewhat hand in hand. Um, or yeah, really just start to look at some other options of what that could look like for them and their business. So I would say you can definitely work with both, kind of two different areas of expertise, but we usually help clients who are either from usually Western countries and aren't really sure where to get started in the space of, okay, I have these investments or I have this crypto or I have this business and I'm ready to relocate. What does paying less tax look like? And, what am I going to have to do and or give up in order to make that a reality? And then is that trade-off even worth it? So, I mean, a lot of the time it's consulting with clients on what that would look like in reality for them, and then they have to make the decision of, is it something I'm willing to relocate my entire family for, or something that we're going to relocate our family in 5 or 10 years, or like I said, maybe I'm just better living in this country and maybe having an overseas bank account that I know I have access to, or a residency and a property in another country that I know I can access at any point.
Yeah. So much.
Right.
It's great. It's great.
Yeah.
So you have your company that as a global citizen strategist, I really like that term, called Worldwise Capital. So how did that begin and what do you have a team of people? I think on our podcast where she builds, we're really trying to break down like what business actually looks like, because I feel like it's so hush hush of, oh yeah, I have an online business and I make money and I want to break it down. Like I have someone who helps me with my YouTube videos. We're honest here that I'm editing this podcast right now though. So is it a team of people? Is it fractional people? How does the system kind of work, and where is the business now? Where's it going? Tell
Yeah, I
us.
love that. I love the transparency. So how we started was really from me not being able to find solutions unless you're a seven-figure plus family office or investor of how you can start diversifying. But then also it was something I was already having to do and look into anyways. So a lot of time, effort, energy, money went into it. But kind of once I not only figured it out, but got on the ground in all of these countries and started building out teams and met with teams and really figured out what some of these countries could offer was when it became more of a reality. Like I said, I had some other businesses that were bringing in cash flow initially, but I mean, those like all fell to the wayside when we really started building out this. In terms of the business itself, I very much so like to be front facing for clients, for all of the education that we give. But we do have a small team in the background just for doing some editing, not so much now, but doing some editing and then doing emails. We also have some businesses that are not Worldwise Capital, but adjacent to Worldwise Capital that provide solutions for things that we see in this space where it doesn't fully fit under the umbrella of what we do at Worldwise Capital, but it's kind of its own business. So then we have some people running that behind the scenes as well.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, when you say teams in these jurisdictions, is that like talking with I don't even know. That's why I'm kind of like, is it like lawyers and accountants and I guess on-site financial advisors, as we talked, like a Canadian financial advisor can of course advise in your jurisdiction. So what is it like a team of people? Because obviously you're the strategist, you bring this together, you do the work for your clients, but what kind of people are we talking to? Because I'm like, I feel so blonde in this moment, like, who is it?
No, and I overlook that, I think, because it's just such
You do it
like an
every
everyday
day.
thing for
You do
me.
it every
Yeah.
day. So
Yeah.
when you say a team of people, I'm like, are you talking to the chef and the baker? Like, who are we? Who are the kind of
Um,
like, I guess, the puzzle pieces? So if
Yeah.
someone's like, okay, I want to put some, and I have no clue what the best jurisdictions are. We're obviously learning right now. But if they're wanting to put money in South America and you go to this certain country, what kind of team of people are you speaking with that help clarify all this information for someone?
Yeah, so we work with all lawyers and accountants on the ground in these jurisdictions. So they're professionals in their field, they know what they're doing, and it's not their first, second, or third time going through this process. But usually clients will come to us when they have questions of like, where am I going and what does this look like? And I've seen this and I've heard this about this country and this about this country to kind of start piecing things together. We will identify or usually myself on the call, working with the team of various different countries behind the scenes, not on the front end with the client. We'll kind of identify their needs and what it is that they're wanting in terms of a strategy and a plan. And then from there, present some options. From there, whatever is decided, we will work with the team on the ground in order to make that a reality. Sometimes it takes a couple months, sometimes it takes a little bit longer than that, but it very much so depends. We don't work specifically with financial advisors of any type in any jurisdictions, but typically lawyers and accountants who are either very well versed in some countries like Canada in immigration, but in most of the other countries in immigration.
Wow. And so how do you, let's say like you get off the plane in a country, how do you even go about finding the lawyers and the people that you're looking for? Like do you is it a Craigslist thing? Like how do you find these people? Obviously it's not a Craigslist thing, but like how, cuz in my mind I get off the plane in a country and everything is so foreign to me. So I wouldn't even understand how you could get off the plane and then be like, okay, I know this great lawyer, I know this great person, I need to go talk to them. They know exactly what they're talking about. Like, how do you find these people?
A lot of networking and connections. Usually, once we have partners who we've worked with and we've built rapport with, and we have teams in other countries where if they're needing services, we can always reference other teams and they have teams. So everyone we work with is vetted, they're professional. professionals in their field and they know what they're doing. But no, we're not just like hopping off the plane and walking into someone's office.
Obviously.
Like it's always, of
His
course,
law
it's
office
always
on the
usually
corner.
Obviously, because that
vetting.
honestly, that's such a big thing. Like that would be in my mind. I wouldn't even know where to start to try to find, even in Canada, where to find like really good people. So it's so good to have somebody like you that has connections everywhere that can be like, yeah, this is the best lawyer that we can talk to, and these like they know what they're doing, and that's such a great thing to have and a great
And it's
person to have. Yeah.
I will say, like, it's nice now too, having built up the business and the brand as well. We have a lot of businesses who are coming to us. And of course, we always
Nice.
hop on calls with them and vet them and ask them questions and go through things before. And a lot of the time, I mean, I don't have residency in every country, but I will use the services as well if it's something that I'm needing before we can recommend it to clients or speaking to their past clients, like really vetting things out as being a part of our network. But yeah, I would say mostly connections, networking, and then it definitely helps being in the space for quite a few years and having built up a name as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bit of word of mouth in a way too.
Yeah.
International word of mouth.
Yeah. This might be a very ridiculous question. I don't know. But you said when you had, again, I'm very interested in this. So you said that you have maybe not a particular residency in different things, but if somebody is going in, can you have more than one residency in different places, or can you just have one residency, remove yourself from there, go to a different place, have residency there? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, that's a good question. A common question, which I often overlook because like I'm in the space every day, but great question. So residency and then tax residency are two different things, as is citizenship. So residency, yes, you can hold residency in as many jurisdictions as you would like.
Imagine you're walking with the most amount of confidence you've ever had. You're stronger than you've ever been, and you feel more energetic throughout the day. Coach Shandy here. If any of this resonates with you, let's get you started on the 6-week personal training program that I'm running. I'm Coach Shandy on Instagram, so send me a message to get started. For now, let's get back to the episode.
I will say it usually for global citizens is between, I would say, like 1 to 4, because most of these countries have requirements for time on the ground in order to keep that residency active. So most traditional Western countries and most countries in general have a residency-based taxation system, meaning that if you're a resident there, it's usually 6 months or more per year you're living there. You not only have residency, but you're also a tax resident. So there are some jurisdictions, again, not most, which is why we don't operate in like most jurisdictions, especially Western countries around the world in terms of immigration, but they will allow you to either gain residency in a pretty straightforward way. Potentially there's a little bit of time on the ground or maybe even no time on the ground. So it makes it very interesting to individuals who are, let's say, operating and living in the US or in Canada, but they want that backup option. That could be a good option. So you can have as many of those as you would like, as long as you can fulfill the requirements to keep them valid, however the country deems what those requirements are. And then you can have multiple tax residencies. Usually it's not going to be beneficial. You typically want to have one either in a tax optimized jurisdiction that makes sense for you, but then you could have another by staying somewhere for 4, 5, 6 months, depending on the jurisdiction and triggering their tax residence rules. So there is, and that's why, like I always say, lifestyle is such a big component of this as well. A lot of people come because they want to optimize their taxes and pay less, keep more of their money, which is great. But if you really love the lifestyle and want to build a life in somewhere that's high taxing, like, yes, you can start strategizing and building all these trusts and foundations and looping it around and like, and that can be legal, but, at a certain level of wealth, it makes sense. But
Yeah.
below a certain level, it's like, enjoy the lifestyle that you want and that may come at a higher cost, or live there for 4 or 5 months per year and then have different strategies in place. So very situational depending on what an individual or a family is looking to build in terms of their lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really cool. There was
Wow.
in Portugal, wasn't it, that you could buy, they had a lot of ruins that wanted to be like reestablished and such. And if you bought that land and and committed to restoring the room. And if I'm talking like a crazy lady, could be. Did you hear about this? That they would offer some kind of visa or some kind of residency, like the $1 land thing in Italy, was it as well? Southern Italy, they offered. I don't know if it still exists, but this kind of thing too, like these unique offerings of putting some investment and some money into a country, they could offer residency in return.
Yeah, there are mostly in Europe. I will say there have been in the past few years quite a few different interesting residency options like that. I will say it's becoming, and if you check us out on YouTube, then you'll probably hear this in a lot of the videos, but it is becoming, and it's just a fact of the industry, more difficult in order to either obtain residency or definitely tax residency nowadays because governments are wanting either more capital, more donation, or more investment in order to bring in individuals, which makes sense. I think 100,000 or even 200,000 is pretty low in order to get, especially a citizenship in a country. So not a bad thing, but it is becoming just more difficult either by the capital requirements or by simply the documentation or time on the ground requirements. So we definitely do see, and if you've been following this industry for even a couple months, you've probably heard quite a few changes in a lot of these countries, or changes that are being proposed by the government, have not passed yet, but there's a lot changing. So we always say, like, if you're interested in any sort of residency, citizenship, even banking option, banking in some jurisdictions just in the last month, again, not a bad thing because it's always good to have secure banks, but you sometimes now have to show up and there might be an interview process, like on in person at the bank process, right? In order to open an offshore account, if you're just going to keep like a couple tens of thousands, it might not be worth it for you, but it very much so depends. So if you're interested in a couple options, get in on it now because they will more than likely be changing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Very cool. Is there like a specific base income level? In what currency do you think in the most? Maybe we could ask first, Nicole.
US dollars.
US dollars. Okay, let's use US dollars because I'm still Canadian brained. But is there like a base income? Of course, it's so situational, but is there kind of a base income level or net worth that that's two very different things, that like if someone's making under 50,000 US a year, is it even worth them exploring? Is there that kind of base number in your head of when it's worth to start to dive into other places?
Or when is that base number then too? Just to add on to
say
there.
honestly that there is a base number. I would say there's more of a base lifestyle of what it is that you are thinking that you want. So, for example, like there are some residency options where it costs a few thousands of dollars to get residency, and they can potentially be very beneficial jurisdictions if set up properly, where you're paying low or even no tax. So, for that, I mean, you could easily be making 40, 50, 60,000 US. And yeah, you're probably not really saving a lot, especially coming from Canada or somewhere, Australia. Feel like you're not paying a large enough percentage for that relocation alone in your home country. But if it makes sense also from a lifestyle perspective, definitely. If you're looking for diversification in terms of investments or assets, usually around a couple 100,000, but we also have clients who, of course, with crypto, I'm pretty big into crypto myself, who have a little bit of crypto, Bitcoin, whatever it may be, and they know that's going to continue to go up. So they want to start to shelter that and bring that offshore now. So I wouldn't really say there's like a base income level, but it's more so depending on the lifestyle that you want. Of course, once you start building up assets, if you see yourself potentially going offshore or having a business offshore, then that could be beneficial. But just to start offshoring everything in your life without you physically relocating probably isn't going to work very well.
Very interesting.
Wow.
I feel like Shandy and I are both like, huh.
Well, it's such a new concept to me. Like I like in my mind, I'm still thinking of very basic, say occupations, like the lawyers, like the personal trainers, I would have never thought of like what you're doing, what a global citizen strategist. I would have never thought that could be something, which I think is so cool too, that you created this I don't know, position, and you're helping so many people that many people don't even know that this is a possibility. And so now I think I just have to have a second to process everything that you're saying, because I'm like, I mean, when we went into this conversation, I'm like, oh, I wouldn't need this. But now I'm thinking like, maybe I need to have a talk with Nicole later.
Yeah,
I think
you do, Shandy.
Yeah.
I think too, this like in Canada, we go way back to the beginning of when we started chatting of this, like you're supposed to get married, buy a house, have those 2.5 kids. The whole buy a house section of it could look so differently if you're someone who is naturally traveling a lot for your Canadian job anyway, or the money can go farther, and like the new first home savings account in Canada doesn't benefit you compared to XYZ. I think it's all that comparison, and you've been really upfront with that of what is your lifestyle, where are the cultures, because I've gone to some places, like I love Bulgaria, it's a really cool place. I've looked into their taxation and their rules, but I just don't think there's quite enough for me. Honestly, it's the smoking that's like one of the biggest things that takes me away. But otherwise, yeah, it's very interesting to like consider going there and, you know, buying property there versus buying property in Canada, and how much farther your money can go in different places alongside the taxation, residency, etc. But one thing I want your like hot take on, non-strategist, like give us the gossip. What do you think about digital nomad visas and the insane increase in them? And I feel like every week I get a newsletter of a new country popping one up. She's shaking her head.
Yeah, so I definitely, that's a good question. I have a bone to pick, more so with the naming of a digital nomad visa. It's so extremely misleading. I think like what they are in and of themselves, I mean, at the end of the day, for me, this is, you know, how I think governments are businesses, and that is how they operate and run. And so of course they're looking to bring income and I was going to say human capital, I guess not so much for digital nomads, but that is a currency of governments as well. But of course, they're looking to attract as many individuals as they can. Yes, sometimes there are, I think oftentimes there are certain tax benefits, but maybe you love it and then you want to stay there and get residency or work your way towards citizenship. So I think you know, I think probably locals would have in each country a different take on this. But coming from a perspective of a nomad, I think it's great to be able to like try a little bit of this and that. My issue with the term in of itself, it's more of a long-term visa. I think, again, it kind of goes back to how you see a digital nomad, but I think a lot of people think a digital nomad of like being a couple months in one place, a couple months in another, and then moving around like that. Where if you have a okay passport that you can travel on, you probably don't really need a digital nomad visa because you will probably have 1, 2, or 3, usually 1 or usually 3 typically months to actually just be in that country. And you don't have to go and apply for a visa. Yes, you're technically still on a tourist visa, but you don't have to go apply for a visa at a consulate through the citizenship that you hold. So I think that suffices for a good majority of people, unless, of course, you are wanting to, for me, I would say get out of that digital nomad lifestyle and become more of an expat. And then that's when the digital nomad visa makes more sense, but then it kind of should be renamed as like an expat visa.
Like
and then there are some
Bali
countries as
these
well.
These are not nomads in Bali. These people, there's like such a big community there that's living there now year after year. They're not nomadic anymore. If we go back to the nomadic phrase of people, and Shandy's admitted this too. She has a base in the Netherlands. At times she's a digital nomad. I've been in Canada for 6 months. Like I'm not nomadic anymore. I'm just kind of friend house hopping though.
And then like, so with nomad visas as well, I understand that not every country has this, but some countries, very few countries, but some countries have the option to just get residency instead of going through. And usually there are a few more documents or medical check or maybe something along those lines needed for residency versus the nomad visa. But if you're wanting to live somewhere long term anyways, just get residency. Sometimes nomad visas will convert over to residency where you can use that time to gain citizenship. Sometimes it won't. So then if you're going through a citizenship by naturalization process, you're starting all the way again at zero once you get the residency because the nomad visa time period doesn't count. But then there are some jurisdictions as well that offer nomad visas. I think it makes more sense to get residency because some of them don't really have any or very little time on the ground requirements to keep that residency active. So the residency essentially just acts as a plan B instead of you getting a nomad visa that's going to expire in a year or two and then kind of all for nothing.
Yeah. Wow. Again, processing a lot.
Yeah. The visa time counting towards citizenship. I think that's very important for people and an interesting component of the requirements to look for. Even if you're not thinking of wanting to become a citizen, why not have a visa that contributes to that? Should you fall in love? Should you love a property there? Should you find a job there? Or just the community? Yeah. Okay, that's a big point I'm going to remember.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a huge benefit that, like you said, if you do fall in love with something or somebody there, you can always add it, because then that time, like for example, for my visa in the Netherlands, like I have to be there for 5 years. So if I had, maybe, again, I don't know about the Netherlands, but maybe the Netherlands had something that then, if I already had a digital nomad visa that then was put towards that 5 years, like 5 years is a huge amount of time in your lifetime. So that having that add into something else is really beneficial and also very good to know.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome, Nicole. We've loved chatting with you. We definitely have had our minds open, and we hope all of our listeners have learned more. Where can people find you online?
Yeah, so everything is Worldwise Capital. I would say head to our YouTube channel, Worldwise Capital, if you're interested in learning more, getting some more info about some of these countries and what could work for you. Or our website, we have a full list of, I don't know anymore, maybe 15, 20 different countries that we operate in, and then some informational blog posts there as well.
Fantastic.
Amazing.
Fantastic. And we are
Thank
Where
you.
She Builds a podcast on YouTube and Spotify. I'm Anna, at your travel friend, Anna, not Andy, like I said in a previous episode. And I'm joined always by Shandy at Coach Shandy on all platforms. And until next time, we'll talk to you later.
See you next time.